We've done something like about 31,250 vaccines since we started in the middle of January. But as I've already heard you acknowledge, we could not have done this without the input of so many others. And I want to try and really thank the trustees of Watlington House who have worked with us right from the very start and made this possible. And then Reading Voluntary Action, as you've already acknowledged. They've given so freely of their time. Today is really a splendid day at the Hub, but as all of us will know, we've had to combat snow, floods, and without the input of the Reading Voluntary Agency, we wouldn't have had the necessary members and bodies on site to help the elderly. Again, we're currently doing the younger cohorts, but right at the start we had the elderly frail. And we had a few close calls, so we are really grateful to those who helped us.
We've been involved here at the Garden Hall Vaccine Hub since the start of January for around 6 months, and we are so indebted to the volunteers who have come forward to help out at the Hub. And one of the most important roles that those volunteers have been playing is welcoming people, making them feel reassured when they come here, particularly in the early days when we were working with some of the most vulnerable people. Many of them hadn't left their houses for up to kind of 8-9 months. So to be able to come here, be reassured with a friendly face, a volunteer welcoming you, making you feel that you're safe and that you can get through this, I think has been an incredibly important part of what we've done. We've also been kind of helping with the practical stuff, supporting the NHS team here, making sure people get on and off the site safely, doing some of the form checking and checking in and that kind of admin side to take some of the pressure off of the clinical team. I think one of the other things that has been really vital is the relationships that we've built in the community over the years, allowing us to kind of mobilise volunteers for specific roles. So, for example, we've really struggled early on with some of the language barriers. So we had a large number of Nepalese people coming to have their vaccinations here. So we've managed to work in a partnership with the Greater Reading Nepalese Community Association to have them provide a part of the volunteer force who are here to help, just in general, helping like everyone else is, but also if we need some of those language skills, they're here on site. And I think that's kind of where Reading Voluntary Action's role has really been, that link between all of the community organisations, our knowledge and skills in how to mobilise and use volunteers, and how that can be used to support the NHS effort here.
For your second vaccine? No, we've both been done.
We've both been done. So I'm just here on a visit.
Good morning. How are you?
Very well. How are you? I
Very
just
well,
want to come and thank you for all the marvellous work you're doing.
You're more than welcome. It's a pleasure to do it.
And what's been the reaction from your clients who come through the door here?
On the whole, they're delighted that they're
Yep.
having the vaccination, and that's
Yep.
a good bonus for us. A few people are apprehensive, but
Yes.
they've managed to be persuaded through. But it's great.
Well, you've been doing an amazing job, and in all kinds of weathers.
Yes, tell us about it. We've
Yeah.
had very inclement
Well,
weather.
it's nice like this. You've got to be indoors.
Yeah, we've been here in ski jackets one day, and it's like this today. It's wonderful.
But how many sessions do you do a week?
I do round about 1 or 2, mainly 1.
Yeah.
But if they want to call you in, hopefully we're all available and we can do it. So
It's quite a long stint, isn't it? Sort of 5 or 6 hours.
we don't mind. You're forever
Passes.
talking to people,
Yes.
so it passes very, very quickly.
How many are coming through a day?
When it was peak, we should say 200 to
Really?
300 for the session,
Yes.
for the morning session, and will be the afternoon sessions as well.
So I don't volunteer, I work at Pembroke Surgery
Oh, right, with Dr. Gerard.
with Dr. Gerard.
Yeah.
So we've been setting everything up from the very start.
Yeah. So how do you find the sort of variety of work in terms of...
It is very varied. I
Yeah.
mean, because we set it up
Yeah.
from scratch, we had all the initial things to set it up and the building and everything else.
I think it was collaboration with everyone that we just have to do it.
Yeah.
So pharmacists, staff just saying, we need to just volunteer
Yeah.
when we can.
Just get it done.
Yeah, exactly. And that's been the attitude, just get it done. And it's been nice working with other practices also, because it's the first time we've kind of got to know one another. So it's been really good. So we know
It's been
now.
rather like the Second World War, hasn't it?
Yeah,
The war effort.
yeah,
Everyone's sort of
definitely.
mucking in together and
Yes.
helping each other.
Do you think that sort of joint working will continue?
I hope so.
Because it takes some time
really
to
hope
establish,
so.
doesn't it, that sort of teamwork?
Yeah, I hope so. And I know now if I had a problem at the practice, I could call on one of the other practices.
Sure.
And now we know one another. It's
Just makes it easier.
yes, yeah.
And what vaccine are you giving today?
So we're giving the AstraZeneca vaccine today, which is the Oxford vaccine. The gentleman has presented me with his blue card. He had his first dose in March, so he's now due his second dose.
Laugh if you want. Can you put a finger on there for me, Heather?
Well done.
Right.
So Heather, first jab or
second one.
Second jab. Well, you look far too young to be having a second jab. But and which one have you had today?
The AstraZeneca one.
Yeah. And did you feel okay after the first jab?
I did have a couple of side effects, but I'm type 1 diabetic, so it was kind of expected. So yeah, I'm just hoping this one's all right.
Funny enough, I had the jab the same day as my 25-year-old son, and he felt ill for a couple of days after the first jab, and one day after the second jab, AstraZeneca. But I think he had COVID over Christmas.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know. I think it's interesting how people react. I was fine, but you know, have you had both?
I've had both, yes.
And did you feel okay?
No, the first one I felt awful for about 3 or 4 days. Second one, absolutely fine, no problems at all. So,
it's funny how it affects some people, not the others.
Yeah.
So you're a member of Reading Voluntary Action.
Yes.
And did you volunteer this year, or had you been a member of that group before?
So I signed up last year, but I only started volunteering in January.
Yep.
And just because of work schedules, really.
So you're working at the same time?
Yeah. So I'm quite fortunate that my work is flexible with the hours.
Good.
So
what do you do as a job?
I work for the Ministry of Defence.
Fantastic.
So that's good. So you've had an interesting visit to the centre.
Amazing.
It's marvellous what they're doing.
Thank you and the trustees for making it available to
It's our privilege. It's our pleasure.
vaccination centre.
I mean, with this pandemic, it's a war situation. You have to get on with it. You know,
One of the things that's strongly come across is everyone has been delighted to volunteer.
Yes,
And,
the volunteers
2,000 volunteers.
fantastic, and they're so cheerful and happy. You know. Both Richard and I and his wife, we've had our vaccine done here, and it's just so good.
And when was it finally a family home? Was that in the 1930s?
I should think it probably would be just before the school came in.
It became a school in 1877,
right?
And that was Kendrick Girls' School.
Kendrick Girls.
Kendrick Girls, and we have a picture of the girls, about 200 of them, all ranged around there, big long photographs. Where did they put them all? And then it became let out and things like that. So the salvation of the sale effectively to the trust, to the trust in inverted commas, in the 1930s was its salvation.
Yes, well, thank you very much for this. It's obviously been terrific, the support we've had from our volunteers over the months. Lovely weather today, but through wind and snow they've turned out to help people get their vaccines.
Do you know how many volunteers have actually helped here?
We've had around sort of upwards of 100. Some regular volunteers, some who've come down for occasional sessions. Yes, it's been a fantastic response.
And Dr. Gerald, I believe this vaccination centre is going to close at the end of this month, is that right?
That is correct. As you know, there's been recent reports of increasing numbers, so we don't quite know what's going to happen, but as it stands at the moment, our vaccine supply is really to cover second vaccines, and the necessary cohorts should mean we get it all done by the end of June.